So we're gonna do MISHIMA technique next. For this one, we're going to lay down some of our wax resist first. Generally, you do not have to lay down wax resist. You can just carve into the surface, put underglaze in and wipe it away, but it is a lot trickier, so we're gonna do it this way, lay down some wax resist. Now, I laid my wax resist down and then realized after the fact that I couldn't draw into the surface. You know that when clay is leather hard or even chocolate hard, you can draw onto the surface with a pencil and it will show up. So I wanted you to be able to see my drawing lines that I was going to do. So I just used a dry erase marker. I figured if I used a Sharpie, you would not be able to necessarily tell what was going on. So there's my drawing onto it. This is what I'm aiming for. I'm doing something along these lines, this type of line. You can go realistic, you can go a little more stylized. I kind of like this one because it's talks a little bit about there being a lot of fish in the sea. Anyway, here we go. Now you can use your pin tool, which everyone has. And we also talked about an artist that I had seen who uses an actual needle, a sewing needle, like if you're gonna sew on a button or whatever, through a mechanical pencil. So we're gonna try that one out. We'll try the other one. So I'm just gonna sit down so I can see it a little bit more easily, and I'm just gonna start to carve. And as you can see, comes through. This you can do on bone dry clay. In fact, this feels a little bit soft to me, especially with all of this little clay bits that are coming up. I'm gonna try drawing it with my pin tool and see if that makes a difference. I like to make my lines a little bit kind of stylized. I don't know what's going on here with this little dude. I'm gonna turn it as I work. So if you have an idea for an image, you could trace it onto your paper as well. And you can go thicker, you can go thinner. So I have wax down already, and this is what's kind of coming up as I work. I used a dry erase marker. You can draw before you lay the wax down, and I highly recommend doing that. It works really well if you do that. Let's give him a little eyeball, little dude there, kind of worried. I've got some hearts, kind of like bubbles. And here's another fish buddy. Looks a little angry. Someone's in trouble for something. And I'm just trying to kind of integrate what's happening in the shape of the plate that I've got. So instead of just limiting it, I'm bringing it around. And you can put a ton of detail in. You can put patterns, line, shapes. I love working this style. Now you can tell and you can see what's going on here. I hope I might have gone off the page, out of screen, but the ends are drier, and this is actually coming out really a lot more cleanly. If you look and see the way the carving goes here, we don't have the burrs happening like we had over here. And that's probably because, I'm gonna put this at an angle, it's probably because it's drier. So we can go with lots of nice, I'll just go do some here so you can see kind of what happens. Okay, I think that's good. If I need more, I can always go back in afterwards. And then I'm gonna take my water. I'm going to use a paintbrush, and I'm going to put brush my kind of powder, oops, sorry for bumping the camera, into there so that I'm not getting it on the ground, on the floor, around the place. So step 1 is carving, step 2 is brushing it off, step 3 is painting it in to the spaces. So this could use a little bit of water. So It's a little bit dry. If your underglaze dries out, you can add water to it. And so I'm just painting it, and I'm trying to get it into the carved lines that I created. So I'm brushing it in one direction and then another. Generally, I wouldn't have the purple here. I would have drawn it ahead of time, but wasn't thinking about that. And this is quite sparse. You can add more. Now, because it's underglaze, when we fire it, it's gonna stay, and you're gonna have a little bit of recession into the spaces that you carved into it. Okay. This dries quite quickly. I'm gonna move my water here underneath so that you can see what happens. And I think I'm gonna raise my camera a little bit. Sorry about this. I feel like you're on a roller coaster a bit. Generally, I would do this at the sink with a bucket underneath. But we are not at the sink. I'm gonna take my sponge, and I'm just gonna wipe away. The problem with this is you cannot see it very well because of my felt pen, the dry erase marker, which I thought would actually wash off the surface. If you scrub the wax too much, you're gonna lose. It's gonna wipe off. And then you should use, but I didn't have, you use a little bit of toilet paper. Using a paper towel to rub and buff it off there.